Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Get Money Show Live. We are here live and direct on this beautiful, beautiful day. Well, depends on where you are. It's beautiful, kind of, sort of outside where I am. But where you are, the weather may be a little bit different. Either way, I just want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're watching this, whether you're watching live or on replay. We are so thrilled to have you here. Do me a favor and like this video. And when you are coming in, let me know where you are watching from. I'm going to go ahead and go live on Instagram as well as on YouTube. For some reason, Instagram wants to give me a hard time today. Not sure why, but we're going to restart this over here on Instagram. As you know, I go live on Instagram and on YouTube every single week. So if this is your first week, I want to welcome you to the fold. You are a part of the Get Money crew. We're thrilled to have you. Today, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Tracy girl. How are you? How are you? Let me get Instagram together. I don't know why Instagram wants to play me today, but it's all good. We're not going to let it not work. All right. All right. I think we have... No, Instagram's still not working. Okay, well, I guess we're just not going live on Instagram today because Instagram is not working out for some reason. But that's okay. It says we're having trouble starting the live video. So I guess we won't be doing Instagram today. We're going to be over here on YouTube exclusively. So that's kind of cool. Hey, Beverly, dialing in from West Virginia. Oh, Beverly says Instagram and Facebook are both acting up today. Okay. Well, good to know it's not just my account, right? Good to know they're not just hating on me. We're going to tell Mark Zuckerberg to get it together, okay? Because he got too many users to not have stuff working the way it's supposed to work. But anyway, it's okay. Hey, Caroline, welcome from Queens. Do me a favor, like this video. Okay, we want to get this video up to 100 likes while I'm live. Let's get this video up. What that does is a couple of things. One, it allows YouTube to know that this is the type of content that you enjoy learning about, hearing from, so you receive more of this in your feed from you content creators like myself, as well as other people who talk about these sorts of topics. And, it also allows everyone else to receive this in their feed as well, right? So let's not gatekeep. Let's not be stingy. Let's not be like the majority of the 1% that doesn't want us to win. Let's be different and let everybody get to the bag, right? Tracy is coming in from New York. I don't think I knew you were in New York, Tracy. For some reason, I thought you were down south. Maybe like South Carolina or something. I don't know why I thought that. But so go ahead and share this live. Press the share button, press the like button. And if you are a new subscriber or new visitor, hit the subscribe button. If you have been here for a while and you haven't yet subscribed and you just show up every week, but you'll never subscribe, like, why are you doing that? Hit the subscribe button and share the love. All right. So I just want to thank you all while we're getting folks in the room. I really want to thank you because I think like 3 weeks ago, I was at like 2,000 subscribers and now I'm at like 4,500. So like a lot of new people have come in just a very short period of time. And I'm extremely grateful for that. I am so excited and ecstatic and blessed to be sharing this message of wealth creation with folks who otherwise would have probably shied away from it because they're more than likely overwhelmed, right? And so I'm so grateful that you all allow me to come into your day a couple times a week to talk about these topics to get you to that $1 million and beyond. Okay. Oh, Tracy said because her sister is down there. Got it. Okay. Maybe I just assumed that y'all were in the same vicinity, but thank you for letting me know. Jobson is coming from Virginia. Are you a newbie? If you're a newbie, say newbie in the comments. Newbies are people who, this is your very first live with me. If you are a OG, you know what to do. Let them know. Rep your set, right? Say OG in the comments if you've been here more than once. Or if you are a newbie, say newbie if this is your very first time. Jock's Journey is coming in from South Carolina by way of Jamaica, Queens. I love to see it. Jobson is from Virginia. Who is this? Let me go ahead and make this live. This is Jobson again. Lynette is coming from PA. Jasmine is from Arkansas. Tracy is dialing in from New York, and everybody else who is coming in as well. All right. So before we get started, I want to do a couple things. One, I want to caveat this because I want to let you know that there are a number of cryptocurrencies And you probably know about a number of cryptocurrencies. We are not talking about all the cryptocurrencies today. Today, we're talking about Bitcoin specifically. Bitcoin is one of many cryptocurrencies. It is probably the most popular cryptocurrency, and is one of the more expensive cryptocurrencies. And so we're going to talk about that. But I just want to caveat this because we're not going to be talking about other ones. There are all sorts of other types of cryptos like Ethereum and Tether, Solana, XRP is one, Dogecoin, Tron. It's all sorts of them, right? It's tens of them, right? But we're not going to be talking about all those. We're going to specifically talk about Bitcoin. However, what I am talking about today, you can apply it to other cryptos, okay? But I just want to make sure that we stay on track because I got a lot of links to share today. I got a lot of screen shares to show, and we got a limited amount of time, right? So I want to make sure that we stick to the game plan. Also, I caveat that because I know the vast majority of my audience is relatively new to investing, right? And so we're going to do a pretty high level coverage of Bitcoin. I want you all to be educated enough to be able to make a decision if you want to get into this. And I definitely suggest that you get into it. However, Bitcoin can be very volatile, right? And there are ways to mitigate that risk. And I'm going to tell you about what those are, right? But you got to stick to the end to find out what those are, okay? Barbara is here from Florida. Hey, Barbara. Just Faith is coming in from rainy and cold Connecticut. Ooh, okay. Well, it's not rainy here in Detroit. It's a little cold, but not nearly as cold as it can get. So I'm taking it as a win. Jock says, I am so glad that you are doing this because I'm so confused when it comes to BTC, which is Bitcoin. I got you, girl. I'm going to explain it pretty well for you. And also, like I said, I realize that the majority of you guys are newer to investing in regular companies. So Bitcoin can feel, or cryptocurrency in general can feel very like, oh my God, like I don't understand any of this. And so we're going to do, like I said, a very high level live today, but it's going to be more than enough information for you all to be able to make a decision on what you want to do and how you should move. Because there's a couple ways that you can invest in Bitcoin, right? We're going to talk about the most popular way that people always talk about. We're going to talk about what I consider a little bit of a backdoor and possibly even a better way for you to invest in crypto. All right. Wanda is here from South Carolina. Hey, Wanda. Luxshell is new to the channel. Hey. Welcome. She is a holder. All right. Oh, hodler. I'm a hodler. What's that mean? What does a hodler mean? Let me know. I feel like I should know this, but let me know what that is. But I'm so glad that you are here. All right. April's coming from Silver Springs. She's a newer OG. Okay, April. I think you was here last time, right? All right. So if you just came in, hit the subscribe button. If you're a newbie, if you are a OG, say OG in the comments. If you're a newbie, say newbie, right? One more thing before I get into the topic, okay? One more thing. The last thing I want to tell you is that the Fix My Money Challenge is open. Right? The Fix My Money Challenge is open. So many people have signed up for it already. It starts January 20th, but the Fix My Money Challenge is a 5-day deep dive into your finances specifically. And anybody who has taken the Fix My Money Challenge who is here will let you know that it is a game changer, is a complete life changer for you and your money. So many people have taken the challenge and found that they had way more debt than they thought that they had, but also created a path to pay it off in record time, which is incredible. People who are in the Fix My Money Challenge have invested for the very first time ever. We have people in there ranging from the age of 24 all the way up to 82. So the age range runs the gamut. We got people who are deep in debt and didn't see a way out before the challenge. We got people who are already retired and doing extremely well, who want to do even better, who have taken the challenge, right? So it runs the gamut. And the beautiful thing about the challenge is that it actually is tailored to you, despite the fact that there are a ton of people on the lives when we do them. They're live streams every night for 5 days. Despite all of that, we still dig into your specific finances, right? And it's a very safe space. And here's the thing, 2025 is about to be here, right? And most of us do not want to have 2025 to look the same way that 2024 did. And as I told my rich friends last night, if you don't have a plan for your money has a plan for you, and it's probably not what you want. So you can continue to do the same thing and get the same results, or you can spend 5 days digging into your money and change your entire life forever. The choice is really yours. But the vast majority of people are going to shy away from their money. The vast majority of people are going to run away. They're going to keep dodging the phone calls. They're going to keep not opening the mail. They're going to keep trying to do what's sexy, which is just invest a whole bunch of money, but they don't really have much money to invest. There's so many people who are like, oh, I wish I could invest, but I don't make enough. That's usually not the case. Most of the time we are spending money that we don't realize that we're overspending on, and that money can be used to invest, but you don't even know it until you go through the challenge and you're actually forced to highlight where you're spending your money and compartmentalize things. And you realize like, oh my goodness, I'm actually spending $1,000 a month on this one thing. I didn't even know I was doing it. Right. And so it completely changes your life. If you would like to sign up for the Fix My Money Challenge, we would love to have you. I'm going to drop the link in the chat right now, and you can check it out and sign up for it. And those of you who have already signed up, I'm so excited to see you in January when we get started. And for the rest of you, I hope that you consider joining us for the Fix My Money Challenge. All right. Thank you, Dr. Nicole. Lux Shell says hodlers are long-term holders of cryptocurrency who buy and hold regardless. Oh, you mean holders? Okay. It said hodlers. I was a little confused. I was like, what does that mean? I feel like I should know. But okay, perfect. So Lux Shell is a holder or a hodler of Bitcoin, and she buys and holds it regardless of the price. For her, specifically Bitcoin. For other people, it might be Ethereum, it might be Tether, it might be something else, but for her specifically is Bitcoin, which is great because that's what we're going to be talking about today. All right. Feel free to chime in at any time, Lux Shell, if you have any thoughts, because you're in this game already. All right. So like I said, I have a lot of screens I'm going to be sharing. So I want you guys to be making sure that you're paying attention and that you are also taking down notes. All right. So let's get into the topic. Like this video. Let's get it up to 100 likes. Okay. All right. So first things first is that, give me 1 second, get my screens together here because I'm going to be sharing screens with y'all. All right. So first of all, do we all know what Bitcoin is? So I feel like some of us don't even know what that is. Let's start there. So Bitcoin is essentially an alternative method of payment, right? That's the easiest way I can describe it. It is designed to basically level the playing field. So when it comes to actual money that we all use and know now, right? Inflation occurs. There's the haves and the have-nots, right? There's people who have tons and tons and tons and tons of money, and there's people who have very, 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 very little money. In fact, sidebar, I just learned this today. If you were to make $7,000 per hour from the time Jesus walked the earth to now, you would still not have as much money as Jeff Bezos. Ain't that crazy? $7,000 an hour from the time that Jesus walked the earth to today, you still wouldn't be touching Jeff Bezos, right? So we got people like him, and then we got people who are in extreme poverty, right? When it comes to Bitcoin, and then also we also have across the world, we have like the US dollar, we have the Chinese yen, we have all these different, the euros in Europe, we have all these different currencies in different parts of the world. Well, Bitcoin levels that playing field because the US dollar might be stronger than, say, like a rand in Africa, right? But it may not be as strong as a euro in Paris. And so there's the exchange rate and all that sort of stuff. Well, with Bitcoin, everything's the same, right? So if you have Bitcoin and it's worth $5 in America, it's worth $5 in China, it's worth $5 in Asia, it's worth $5 in Australia, it's worth $5 in Finland, it's worth $5 in Iceland, right? It's $5, $5, right? So this sounds like a really good thing. The thing is, though, it's obviously not globally adopted. But the idea is that eventually it will become globally adopted over time. And we don't know when that's going to occur. But there are places now that I'm pretty sure you've seen that accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. And sometimes people even pay contractors in Bitcoin, which we'll discuss a little bit later about how somebody got paid in Bitcoin, a significant amount of money. And it's even greater now. It's worth over hundreds of millions of dollars now, right? They got paid in Bitcoin over 10 years ago. Okay. So that's kind of like the very high level explanation of Bitcoin. There's a really good documentary on Bitcoin. It's actually on YouTube, so it's free. You guys can watch it. It's called God Bless Bitcoin. If you search for God Bless Bitcoin, it explains it much more details, about an hour and a half long. It's a really, really good explanation on not what crypto is, but what Bitcoin is, how Bitcoin works, and how Bitcoin will eliminate extreme poverty, or could eliminate extreme poverty, could eliminate, people from having, being in the 1%, and kind of level the playing field for everybody. But with that said, because Bitcoin is the way it was set up, the way that it is, there's only so many Bitcoin that's going to ever be available. So that in itself lends it to be scarce, because unlike regular money that can be printed here in America at Fort Knox, unlimited amount of money, we don't have that same thing with Bitcoin. And so that's where the price hikes of Bitcoin come up in. That's where they happen, right? So you may have heard in the news recently, within the past the past week, Bitcoin is like over $100,000 per coin. Per one coin, it's over $100,000, right? And a lot of that has to do with the demand and the supply and all that sort of stuff. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. Does everybody understand at least what I've talked about so far? Please let me know in the comments, because I feel like this could be a little bit confusing, and I don't ever want anybody to be confused. I want everybody to be clear before we move on to the next point. Y'all let me know in the comments. Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down so far? Let me know. Anita says yes. Tracy says yes. Beverly understands. Okay, great. Awesome. Beverly understands. April understands. Okay, fantastic. Great. Okay, now Trump has gotten in office, and President Donald Trump has a plan for crypto. Now, I am not here to have a political debate, right? All I know is that he is putting something in place that is designed to pretty much make crypto skyrocket. And this is why I'm having this live right now before we get into the next year, because I want you all to be able to make a decision on if this is a good move for you. Because once he gets in office, he has a very clear plan of action for crypto. Okay. So Trump wants the United States to be the what he calls the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world. These are his words. And he has already stated that he plans to create a crypto presidential advisory council. So what he's looking to do is create legacy, right? Other presidents, they wanted to be the world superpower when it comes to wars or the space race, right? Like JFK with the space race. Trump wants to be known for winning the crypto race. So he's going to use every opportunity and every resource possible to make sure that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency skyrocket, because he wants this to be his legacy. So this is going to be a big part of what he does once he gets into office. Despite whatever else he's going to be doing, crypto is going to be a major priority for him. In fact, there's already been a government bill that has been introduced for crypto. It's literally called the Bitcoin Act of 2024. So it just got introduced in July, and Trump goes into office officially in January of 2025. When that happens, he is going to do everything that he can to push that bill through and ensure that the United States becomes, again, like the superpower that he says when it comes to crypto, right? So now is like if you weren't paying attention to crypto before, now is the time for you really to be paying attention, because I'm going to show you some numbers and graphs of predictions about what crypto is going to do in the next few years. And it's going to be really, really important that you understand what you would be getting into and what you might be losing out on if you don't. Okay. All right. So let's talk about supply and demand. Okay. So if you're investing your money, obviously you're hoping that what you put your money into is going to increase in demand, right? Because if it increases in demand, that makes our investments more valuable and much more rare, and that equals a lot of profit for us, right? So think about like real estate, for example, and in investing in, great companies. We're expecting our money to appreciate in value. If you invest in a house and you use that house to as a rental property, you're hoping, or even as a fix and flip, you're hoping that appreciates once you fix it and flip it or rent it out. If you're buying and you're holding it and hoping to later sell it, you're definitely hoping that it appreciates. Even if you buy a house just to live in as your primary residence, you're not hoping it depreciates, you're hoping it appreciates, right? And so, same thing with really great companies that we invest in. We talked about other companies that on this channel. So we talked about Palantir, we talked about Nvidia, we talked about Spirit, we've talked about a lot of ETFs and things like that, right? We're hoping that our money appreciates in value over time. And so here's what's really important for you to know. Unlike regular dollars and cents that we, trade for goods and services today, the total number of Bitcoin that can be made available maxes out at 21 million. So it's going to be 21 million Bitcoin that will ever be made. Ever, 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 ever. And no more will be made. They will not change the rules. They won't do it. 21 million is it. Okay. This is called the Bitcoin hard cap. Bitcoin hard cap. So it maxes out at 21 million. And 21 million might sound like a lot to you, but as of right now, there's only like a little over a million left out of 21 million. So obviously we talked about scarcity, right? So the more scarce something is, the more valuable it is generally. So when Bitcoin first was introduced, it was 21 million available, right? Now it's just hovering around a million. So that means there's less available. And here's the other thing that's important for you to know. Every 4 years, the Bitcoin, what they call the blockchain, is cut in half. I'm going to show you an illustration of this in a minute. Every 4 years, it is cut in half. And so that gradually reduces the rate at which new Bitcoin is created up until that hard cap is met. So essentially, every 4 years, it gets harder to mine the remaining Bitcoin. Basically, it means it gets harder to get more Bitcoin. So let me show you an illustration of what this means, okay? Let me show you. Where's my little picture I had? Oh, no, did I delete the picture? I had a really good image of this. Hold on, let me find it. I think like it's important to see this illustration so you can understand what this means. Bitcoin. Just gotta find it. Okay, here it is. Okay, let me share my screen. Do me a favor, you guys. Click the like button and hit the share button as well for me. Please, 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 please. Pretty please with the cherry on top. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now, right? So this is kind of how it works. So this is just going back as far as 2009. Obviously, Bitcoin was around before then, but this is how it kind of works, right? So let's say there was 50 Bitcoin at this time. It gets cut in half every 4 years. So 4 years later, there's half of that is available for 25 essentially Bitcoin, right? And this is just, excuse me, this is just an illustration. So 4 years later in 2016, it gets cut to 12.5. 4 years later in 2020, it gets cut to 6.25 and so forth and so on. So as you can see in 2024, where we are today, is significantly less than it was here. So the number of Bitcoin is less and the price of Bitcoin is higher. So hence why you're seeing $100,000 US dollars, right? Is the cost of one Bitcoin today. Whereas before you could buy Bitcoin for like a couple of dollars, right? So it's less available and costs more money. It's going to go up even further and it's going to be even more expensive. Hold on, let me do this. Okay. I saw a question. Let me go back to the questions. Would you be explaining more about mining when you get a chance? What are they digging? Oh, so mining is just a term. It just means like they're made available, right? So no, but they're not digging for anything. So eliminate the thought of like mining as in literally in a literally in a trench or a cave or whatever, or a mine digging with a shovel. They're not digging for anything per se. Mining essentially just means that it's made available. So they're going to make it available. That's what's called mining is. That's all it is, just faith. So good question though, because a lot of people might be wondering that same thing. But they're not literally mining anything. They're just, in terms of the way that we think about it, it's more or less they're just made available. So less are made available, essentially, right? Yes, and Luxell makes a good point. That 21 million Bitcoin is for the entire world, not just for the US. Not just for the US. Speaking of that, let me share another screen with you guys real quick. So I want to show you how the US is really driving toward becoming like the Bitcoin capital of the planet. That's the wrong link. Hold on. Okay. So let me show you this as well. Yeah, I did a lot of research on this to try and like ensure that I was explaining this in a really good way because I don't want anybody to be confused. Um, where is it at? Okay, here we go. All right. So if you can see this screen, this is the Bitcoin holdings of countries and governments, right? So as you can see, the US is outpacing everybody. China is close, but I mean, they not as close as us, right? I mean, they getting up there, but the US is really going hard to ensure that we own the majority of Bitcoin. I mean, once you get past China, I mean, the UK and the Ukraine and Bhutan and all them, they're not even touching where the US is. So we're already outpacing everybody else. And like I said, once Trump gets in office and he puts that presidential advisory board together for Bitcoin, gets that bill passed and all of that, it's going to skyrocket. It's going to skyrocket even further. So that's why this is very, very important. All right. Is everybody still following me so far? Everybody still following me? Okay, if you're not following me, please do not hesitate to chime in. Because again, I understand that this might be a confusing topic. Thank you, Just Faith, for asking your question. I don't want anybody confused. Okay. Let me get back to the comments. Beverly's following. April's good to go. What T said is good to go. Okay, great. I'm so glad. Y'all so smart. All right. All right. So again, every 4 years, it's going to get less and less. They're going to mine less, right? They're basically going to make less available. And that means that less are going to be introduced each time. That creates scarcity and it makes the price of Bitcoin go up significantly. So again, there's only about 1 million Bitcoin left as of the time that I'm making this video. Now, depending on when you watching it, if you're watching on replay, it might be even less than that. But as of right now, there's only 1 million left. And if everybody gets a Bitcoin, we're going to be out very soon. Okay. So bottom line is you really need to consider looking at Bitcoin. Now let's look at this price chart because this is what is extremely interesting to me. And I think you'll find it interesting as well. So when we look at the numbers of Bitcoin, and the other reason I really want to take my time with this is because I don't believe that you should invest in anything that you don't understand. Never invest in anything you don't understand. Warren Buffett says the same thing. So does Dave Ramsey. If you don't understand it, and take this as someone who has invested in things that they don't understand, right? In the past, I don't do that anymore. Don't invest in things that you don't understand just because everybody else is doing it. It doesn't necessarily mean that's a good move for you. So that's why I want to take my time on this video and really make sure that we're not losing anybody along the way, because I understand that crypto can be very confusing for some people, because the concept of like understanding how we could move away from dollars and cents as we know it now to like some other form of payment that actually doesn't even line up with the same exchange rate as dollars and cents can be very, very kind of like overwhelming. So that's why I'm moving kind of slow on this one today. So again, if you all have any questions or get confused by anything, don't hesitate to let me know. Okay. All right. So let's share this screen. This is the forecast for Bitcoin. Philip is with me. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you're here. Okay. So this is the forecast. So I really love looking at this because we can see all the way back to 2012. Now, this orange line is the actual price of Bitcoin at the time that wherever my cursor is. The green line is the prediction of what it would be. And you can see it's not too far off, right? So this green line goes all the way up to here. This is 20 something. What is this? Past 2034. This 2035, right? So all the way up to 2035, which is 11 years from the time I'm making this video. All right. So that's why the orange line doesn't go past 2024, because obviously we're still in 2024 right now. But this green line is a pretty good predictor. So this is what it predicted it was going to be. And as you can see, it's not too far off. So if we look at the price in 2012, you could buy Bitcoin for 82 cents. That's how much Bitcoin was in 2012. That was 12 years ago. What were we doing in 2012? That don't even seem that far. That don't even seem that far away. Like that seems like it was just yesterday, right? If we look at today, Bitcoin is hovering around 96,000, $100,000, somewhere around in there, right? So 12 years later, a single Bitcoin is worth like 100,000 times more than it was in 2012, just 12 years ago. So this green line is predicting that Bitcoin is going to be up to $9 million for one Bitcoin. And that is because of the scarcity that's associated with it, right? So I really wanted to make sure we were clear on that. There's only 21 million Bitcoin available. There's ever, right? Across the whole world, there's only 1 million left, about 1 million. And because it's becoming so scarce, and more people are going to want it, the demand is higher, the supply is lower. So it's going to skyrocket this number. So we can see in just 11 years, look at what it did 11 years ago. So 11 years ago was 2014. No, I'm sorry, 2013, right? So let's look at 2013. See if we can find. Okay, 2013, we were selling at $38. I'm sorry, $62. So remember, the orange line is the actual price. So $62 in March of 2013. Let's see if we can find December since we're in December. Okay, December of 2013, right? This is about a year ago. It was $713. So it went from $62 in like March to $738 in a few months, right? So 11 years ago, it was $738. So still less than $1,000. To now, 11 years later, it is about $100,000. So that same amount of time frame is what we're looking at for the future, right? So if we're up that much in that amount of time, there's a good chance we're going to be up that much or greater, which is what this is indicating 11 years from now. Are you all understanding like the urgency of why? Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I didn't even, I'm so sorry. I didn't show my screen. Okay. Do you all understand the urgency of why you all need to consider thinking about Bitcoin? Lynette says, but not everybody's going to be able to afford Bitcoin. I agree with you. What about people who already live in poverty? How can the US and other countries change the currency like that? So Lynette, if you stay to the end, I'm going to tell you how you can afford Bitcoin. Okay. Remember, I told you there's 2 ways that you can invest. And one of them is, well, really 3 ways, right? And one of them, or 2 of them, are much more affordable. Okay. Now, in terms of your philosophical part of your question or the political part of your question, how can the U.S. and other countries change the currency like that? I can't tell you that part. I can't tell you that part. All I can tell you is about the investing part. And I can tell you how you can invest directly. I'm going to tell you how you can invest fractionally, and I'm going to tell you how you can invest in an ETF. Okay. All right. So, but that's a very good point. Not everybody can afford that. Like, who has $100,000 to invest in one Bitcoin right now? Right? Most people don't. Okay. So the bottom line is, if you've been on this channel for any length of time, you know that we talk about fractional purchasing, right? You can buy fractions of shares, fractions of Bitcoins, right? And I'm going to encourage you to consider that, but I'm also going to tell you another way that you can invest that I think might be even better and more advantageous. All right. And I'm going to tell you why that is in a minute. But I love this chart because these numbers are crazy. This is absolutely insane. I don't even know what the percentage is on the return on this. If you had invested 12 years ago, I just know it's in the hundreds of percentage points. It's crazy. All right. So let me stop sharing this part of my screen. Okay. Lynette says she's speaking hypothetically. Yeah. I don't know how the US is going to, honestly, I mean, just from a political standpoint, I don't think that the US really cares how it's going to help or hinder other countries, because the US is focused on its backyard and making sure that they have the majority of Bitcoin. So I don't necessarily think that that's a concern of theirs. Yeah, I don't think that that's a concern. I mean, the just from a political standpoint, I mean, I think we've seen like money tends to run the government. And so if they can own all of this stuff and keep it away from other countries, I don't think that they're too concerned about what Bhutan and Finland and all them are doing. Jock says, I'm invested in Bitcoin ETFs already. BTC doesn't confuse me. It's the cold wallet. What about the cold wallet confuses you, Jock? What confuses you about that? Okay. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, so now there are two major ways to buy Bitcoin, but there's a third that we're going to talk about as well. Okay, so the first way is to buy Bitcoin directly. You can buy Bitcoin directly. You can just simply go on something like Coinbase or River. But I mean, honestly, if you already have like what do you call it, a brokerage account like Robinhood, Fidelity, you can just buy it on there. Okay, you just buy it on there. Yeah, Lynette says I was more concerned about us, not necessarily other countries. I don't think that they're really concerned about the poor here either. I mean, we can see that as indicated in how they move now, right? I don't think they're that concerned about the poor. I mean, the rich get richer, right? We've talked about that a lot. So all the more reason why folks who don't have a lot need to invest a little, right? Because a little can turn to a lot. I think, you know what? This is a great segue. I'm glad you said that, Lynette. I was thinking a lot about how people tend to hinder themselves from investing. Like, oh, I don't have enough money. I have too many bills. I don't have enough resources. I don't have enough to invest. And generally, that's not true. Usually, we do have enough to invest, but people think you got to invest a whole lot. And that's simply not the case. Think about this. When it comes to diet and exercise, right? A lot of people want to lose weight. And we know, or we've probably all heard that losing 1 to 2 pounds a week is like very safe, right? But most people don't want to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. They definitely don't want to lose 1 pound a week. They want to lose like 2 to 4 pounds a week, right? 5 pounds if they can. The more in a week they can lose, the better. But what we can see statistically, by and large, is that when people tend to try and do a whole lot at once, they tend to fall off because it's not sustainable, right? But here's the thing. If you only lost 1 pound a week for a whole year, you would lose 52 pounds, which is a lot in a year. That's a lot of weight to lose in a year. But it doesn't feel like a lot because it's like, well, it's only 1 pound a week. It's only 1 pound a week, right? So when it comes to investing, it's like, well, I'm only investing $10. What can $10 really get me? I'm only investing $20, $100. That's not a lot. What can that really get me? Well, it compounds, right? Just like when you're working out and you're trying to lose weight, if you are starting to work out, you lose 1 pound a week every week for 52 weeks, you lost 52 pounds, right? But not only that, but your metabolism gets faster. It compounds, right? You start out, maybe you're not working out at all, and over time, your metabolism gets faster, your body starts to burn fat better, your eating habits just get better overall, right? Everything gets better over time. But most of us feel like it's not enough. 1 pound enough, 1 pound a week is not enough. So we will do all these things and go on these crash diets, and we work really hard and kill ourselves at the gym to lose 5 pounds in a week or 3 pounds in a week so that we can go online or tell our friends, oh, we lost 30 pounds in 2 months. But it's not sustainable. Most of those people end up gaining that weight back. But the people who actually just lose the 1 pound a week, it's sustainable. It's a little bit over time. It compounds and they have great success. So same thing with investing, right? So with people who feel like they don't have a lot of money or people who feel like they don't have enough money, I can guarantee you that they do have enough because we all find ways to spend disposable income, whether it's $7 on a cup of coffee, whether it's $200 on a concert, like we find this money, right? And so no matter how much money you have, you should be investing something because something will lead to something greater down the line, but nothing is always going to lead to nothing, right? So when it comes to us here in America or any country, when it comes to our wealth, I've always said, like, nobody cares more about your money than you do. So you got to care about it. somebody who's doesn't have a lot of money, they got to care about it. They got to think about the future, but it's hard a lot of times to conceptualize the future because it's not tangible, right? And everything always feels like it's so far away. Like, oh my God, 10 years from now, that's a long time away. No, it's not. Anybody who's lived past the age of 30 will tell you that those 10 years will fly, right? So we have to consider like prioritizing our futures, prioritizing ourselves, paying ourselves first, which is what we talked about last night in My Rich Friends, right? And even if it feels like a little bit of money, not shying away from it or not locking ourselves out of it because we feel like it's not enough is the bottom line. Does that make sense? Hopefully that helps answer that question a little bit more from a philosophical standpoint. All right. So what I was saying about the ways to invest in Bitcoin, right? There's a couple of ways. The first way is that you can invest directly. So you can just go on Robinhood, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, whatever brokerage account you already have, and you can simply buy Bitcoin. The ticker symbol is BTC, right? You can simply buy that. So let's take a look at what that's looking like right now on Robinhood. All right, let me share my screen again. Alrighty, so this is what Bitcoin is trading at right now. It's $101. Now, earlier today it was like $97,000. Right now it's $101,000 for one Bitcoin, which, as Lynette said, is extremely expensive. Very few people are going to have the money to buy a whole Bitcoin. But I don't want you, this is one of the things I don't want people to get locked up on. Some people will feel like, well, if I can't buy one Bitcoin, I'm not going to buy anything. That is a bad idea. You can buy a fraction. So this is like the 0.1.5 of the way that you can invest, right? Or 0.2 second way you can invest is buying a fraction. I've discussed before, you can buy fractions of shares. You can, even if you bought 0.008, and I did the math on this, if you did 0.008 Bitcoin and you left it in there, given that prediction, that line I showed you, you would still have a ton of money in 10 years or 11 years. If that prediction holds true, like the last 10 years predictions held true, right? So a lot of times folks will say, well, if I can't buy a whole share of a stock, you got to understand the Bitcoin and American dollars, the exchange rate is not the same, right? So it's not 1-to-1. It's not one Bitcoin equals $1 US. One Bitcoin equals $101,000. So a Bitcoin is actually more valuable than the US dollar, significantly more valuable than the US dollar. Does that make sense? So it's okay if you were to buy what feels like a small fraction, because that small fraction is still actually a lot, right? So you could go on here, and if you wanted to say, I wanted to buy 0.008, 0.008, right? So this is how much it's selling for. Wait. I'm sorry. Let me change this. You want to buy in Bitcoins. So 0.008, that's $813, right? So if you bought $813 worth of Bitcoin, you have 0.008. You could buy 0.001. That's $101, right? You could buy even less than that. You could buy 0.0002. You can buy whatever amount that you want. The bottom line is, please do not shy away from it because you feel like you can't buy a whole entire share. Nobody's buying a whole entire share anymore. It's $100,000 for one, not share, for one Bitcoin. But you can buy fractions. And not only can you buy fractions, but you can also do what's called dollar cost averaging, which we've talked about before. So dollar cost averaging is like saying, okay, I'm going to spend $50 every 2 weeks. Every time I get paid, I'm going to invest $50 into Bitcoin. Every 2 weeks I get paid, I'm going to invest $20. Every 2 weeks I get paid, I'm going to spend $100. Whatever it is that you choose, right? And over time, that will build up, just like trying to lose 1 pound a week over 52 weeks, right? It may feel like a little bit. $20. What is $20? What is $50? But you compound that over the course of time, you're going to have a whole lot of money. Whole lot of money. Jack said, I wanted to invest in BTC on Robinhood, but someone says it's best to invest in Coinbase. I didn't want another account to have to keep up with. The only reason Coinbase is quote unquote the best is because Coinbase is the largest crypto brokerage account in, I don't know, the world, but definitely in the US. That's the only reason it's better. The prices are the same regardless. So I agree with you. I don't want to have another account to keep up with. So I buy my crypto on Robinhood, and I also buy it in Fidelity. Here's the thing also, you can also invest in crypto in your 401ks and your HSAs. Okay. So a lot of times, we've discussed this before. A lot of times we're looking for like additional money. We don't always have to find additional money. A lot of times we have money just sitting up in our accounts, not earning anything because we haven't invested it. I don't know how many of y'all told me over the past couple of weeks that you're not investing your 401k money. You're just putting money into the account, but you're not actually investing it. You don't have to go find extra money. Take some of that money that's in there and put it into some of the things that we talked about, like Bitcoin, which is what we're talking about today. Okay. Does Coinbase have cold wallet storage just like Fidelity? I'm sure they do. I mean, let's see, that's Pamela. I'm positive that they do. I don't use Coinbase personally, but I would pretty much, I mean, they're the largest crypto brokerage. So it would be a complete fallacy for them not to have cold wallet storage. Okay. But I'm assuming that they do. All right. So that's the first and second way that you can invest. So the first is if you got $100,000 and you want to just buy one Bitcoin, go ahead, do your thing. The second way is to buy a fraction of Bitcoin. Again, you can go as low as, how often do you move your BTC from Robinhood to your cold wallet? I'll answer that in just a second. I'm sorry, I got off track looking at the comments. You can buy a fraction of a share, right? Or a fraction of Bitcoin. So think of one Bitcoin as one share. Okay. Think of it as one share. You can buy a fraction of that as low as $5 if you wanted to, as low as $10, as low as $20. You don't have to be hindered because you can't buy an entire share. Now, the third way, and I actually prefer this way, is to buy a Bitcoin ETF. Let's look at some Bitcoin ETFs. Now, y'all know I love ETFs because ETFs tend to be a little bit safer in terms of volatility. They're also a lot more cost effective usually than buying the index outright. So let's talk about this. So there are a number of Bitcoin ETFs. And here are some of them. I'm actually going to share this link with you guys in the comments because you may want to look at this on your own outside of this live. All right. So here's a number of them. So, you have iShares, BlackRock, and the ticker symbol is right here. And it also tells you the exchange. So this one is IBIT, this first one, and it's sold on NASDAQ. Grayscale is GBTC, and it's sold on the New York Stock Exchange, right? So you can see all of these. FBTC, this is sold on Coinbase. Okay. So there's a number of these. Now, you may say, well, which one, would I look at? Well, really, they're not too much different except the expense ratio. Now, the expense ratio is the amount of money that you're going to pay to these companies over here on the left side for managing your Bitcoin ETF. So just like we've discussed, if you were to buy VOO or if you were to buy SCHD or any of the other ETFs that we've discussed, there's an expense ratio. Now, why do you pay an expense ratio? For those of you who are not familiar, well, you can buy a stock or Bitcoin in this case outright, and you are managing it on your own. You are taking care of it. You don't have to pay anybody, right? However, with a traditional ETF, you basically hold a basket of stocks. Bitcoin ETFs work a little bit different. I'll explain that in a minute. But regular ETFs are essentially a basket of stocks or different companies that you own. And because you are not being the one that's going out managing it, holding it, shifting around the percentages and all that sort of stuff, you got to pay somebody to do that work, right? And so that's called the expense ratio. So expense ratio can be higher or lower depending on the company. Now, GBTC has a very high expense ratio of 1.50, All right. And the way you figure out how much you're going to pay in your expense ratio is you multiply the amount of money you have in that ETF times the expense ratio, and you'll find out how much that you have to pay them. So really, you want your expense ratio to be less than 1, ideally less than 0.5. Ideally less than 0.5, you want your expense ratio to be. Because obviously you want to pay less. You don't want to pay a whole lot. And the thing is, it's important because I know somebody's going to ask, you don't actually pay the money yourself. They basically take it out of the earnings that you have in the ETF. Andrea says, do brokerages keep track of your expense ratio? Yes and no. Let me just kind of clarify for you, Andrea. And I don't know if it's Andrea or Andrea, so I hope it's Andrea because that's what I said. But if it's Andrea, I apologize for saying your name wrong. So they don't really keep track of it. They will tell you what it is. Basically, you can easily see what your expense ratio is, and I'll show you guys where to find that in just a minute, right? But they don't like keep track of it and kind of make sure that you're not paying too much. That's really on you, but they will definitely make it available for you to see in plain sight at any time. So that's why I say yes and no. Like they don't keep track of it, they just post it, but it's up to you to determine if you want to pay that amount and if you want to switch to something else, okay? Pamela, you asked about XRP. So you may have came in late, but what I said when we were starting is that we are not talking about other cryptos. We're only talking about Bitcoin today. Although everything I'm talking about is applicable to other cryptos. But because the majority of people here are brand new to investing, some have just invested for the first time ever, and some others haven't invested yet. We're not going to get too deep in the weeds with all types of crypto. Although to answer your question, Pamela, I do think XRP is going to rise. And I think XRP is great. But we're not going to dig too much into it because, again, I don't want to confuse anybody when Bitcoin itself is already kind of confusing for folks. So I just want to stay real surface level when it comes to Bitcoin. But again, for anyone who is already knee deep into crypto, what I'm talking about is also applicable to other cryptos. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at some of these expense ratios. I'm going to share how you can find this on Robinhood. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, so this is the Bitcoin direct purchase, right? So one of the ones that we talked about was Grayscale, which is GBTC. So you just simply type in the ticker symbol, and I'm using Robinhood, but any brokers that you use is going to have the same information available. Because I know a lot of times we get stuck on like the platform as opposed to like the theory. So the platform that I'm using to show you all this is um, Robinhood. But you can find the same information over on Fidelity. You can find it even on Google. You can find it in Charles Schwab. You can find it in Coinbase. You can find it in River. You can find it in any of these places. The prices are going to be the same. It doesn't matter what the platform is, okay? Now, if we scroll down here, we can see right here is the expense ratio. Do you guys see that? Where I highlighted in gray, that's the expense ratio. So that is going to be the amount that you pay. That is a very high expense ratio. Let's look at another one, IBIT. This is another ETF for Bitcoin. And you can see the expense ratio here is significantly lower. It's 0.25, right? So expense ratio is a lot lower here, and it costs less money. Right. So Lynette, to answer your question earlier, well, sure, like it's a lot of money to spend $100,000 and you may not want to buy a fraction of a share for whatever reason, right? Or a fraction of a Bitcoin for whatever reason, but you can buy a share of one of these ETFs and it costs less money. So psychologically, you may feel like and I'm talking about you specifically, Lynette, because I know you weren't asking about yourself, but I'm just speaking philosophically. Someone might feel like they own more because they're able to afford 2 shares of this as opposed to like 0.3 shares, 0.0003 shares of Bitcoin, you know? But the reason I like ETFs when it comes to Bitcoin is not just because the prices are lower, although I do like that. But I also think it's just easier to handle. And I'm going to give you guys a a warning about why you may want to consider an ETF as opposed to a as opposed to holding the Bitcoin yourself. So give me one second. I'm gonna pull it up. But before I do that, I want to give you like the pros and the cons. So again, option 1 is to buy directly. So when you buy directly, you're going to own the actual asset. You own the actual Bitcoin, right? And you can use it to pay for things where Bitcoin is accepted. Like you can gift it to friends and family. You can hold it. You can hold the actual Bitcoin and keep it in what we've been talking about is a cold storage wallet, right? The cons of that is that there's some work involved. You have to keep it safe. You got to keep it secure. And you absolutely cannot lose your password. That is a big deal. If you lose your password, there is no forgot password recovery option, right? So you can have a whole lot of Bitcoin in your cold storage wallet. And if you lose that password, you will not, they cannot help you. There's no forgot password. It is what it is. If you lose it, that's a problem, right? Now, obviously you have full ownership, potential for very high returns, even higher than ETFs. And those are all great things, but it's really high volatility because it's a digital currency right now. There's a lot of security risks like hacking, and the management of it is very complex. I'm going to show you a video of somebody who lost his cold wallet storage password and the problem that created for him. Now, the other option that I discussed is to buy an ETF. It's more hands-off. If the Bitcoin goes up, the ETF goes up, right? So if the Bitcoin goes up 20%, the ETFs goes up 20%. So it's just like a regular ETF that we think of when we think of stocks. It tracks the Bitcoin. So like an ETF will track an index. It'll track the S&P 500. It'll track the NASDAQ 100. In this case, the ETF is going to track the Bitcoin, right? So whatever percentage it goes up or down is going to do the same thing. All right. The pros of this is that it's much easier to manage. There's a much lower learning curve, and it's regulated by financial authorities, which is really, really good. The cons is that you don't own it directly. So you can't pay for anything with your Bitcoin ETF. There are management fees like we discussed. So you have, the expense ratios. And then depending on the ETF, you might have limited exposure to other cryptocurrencies. So if you're someone who's like Pamela, who's already into XRP, you may be like, well, this Bitcoin ETF only allows me to invest in Bitcoin. I can't invest in other things. And that may not be conducive for you, right? So let's look at a little video. Think about when you were in like elementary school and your teacher would roll in like the TV on that big cart. That's what we're about to do right now, okay? I really want to show you guys. You're welcome, Pamela. No problem. Any questions so far? Any questions? Any questions? Let me know if y'all got questions, because y'all ain't really saying nothing, so I feel like y'all are listening and trying to soak it in. Normally, y'all be real chatty Cathys. So let me know. All right, let's go ahead and share the screen. Okay. Can you guys see you guys should be able to see my screen. Let me know if you can hear the audio.
Password worth It's a password worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Could you all hear that? Could you hear that audio? Let me know if you can hear it before I keep playing it. Okay, great. Beverly said yes. Okay, cool. Let's start over.
It's a password worth hundreds of millions of dollars, a long, complex string of random letters, numbers, and symbols guarding the contents of an ultra-secure thumb drive like this one.
I tried to pick a very secure one because I was very concerned about losing those coins.
For nearly a decade, Stephen Thomas has had more than 7,000 Bitcoin locked away in the device. These days, cashing out the stash of digital currency would pay out more than 260 million real dollars. Much, much, much more than it was worth when he first earned them. If Stephen could only remember his password.
Just like lay in bed and come up with a new way to recover it, and then wouldn't work, and then I would try another way and it wouldn't work either.
He's already made 8 failed attempts to unlock the drive. Now he only has 2 more tries to get it right, or the device will self-delete, clearing all of its data forever, including the password that will unlock all those millions.
It's not like I barely don't remember it. There's no chance of remembering something that complicated from 10 years ago.
Because Bitcoin isn't represented by physical coins, it can't be held by a bank, meaning the military-grade drive is holding the only key to Stefan's digital fortune. Online, word of his password predicament has inspired some creative solutions, everything from hackers offering to crack the code to hypnosis.
Is there at least
maybe just the slightest bit of hope that you have buried somewhere in your head?
Yeah, I mean, it in some ways, like that hope makes it more difficult because it's like, it's easier if you can just let it be in the past and forget about it.
Still, Stefan says he's chosen not to dwell on his almost certain loss, a reality he came to terms with years ago.
Ever since then, I've never had to worry about any other screw-ups or failures. And if I can move past that mistake, I can move past anything.
Proof that even a Bitcoin has a flip side. And if you're thinking Stefan is handling this awfully well, there's a reason. He has made plenty of other money on cryptocurrency, and he remembered those passwords, so he's doing just fine. By the way, he's far from alone. One company estimates there's more than $140 billion worth of Bitcoin stranded in digital wallets. The company that made the super secure flash drive tells us if Stefan can't figure out his password, well, there's nothing they can really do either. Back to you guys.
Dude, I don't care how much. I don't care how much you've made off Bitcoin. That guy is a lot more chill than I would be.
I know.
If I was about to lose 200.
I'm feeling so good about my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
There you go.
You know,
There you go.
I'm like, it's not one of those. I thought when I first heard about it, I'm like, is it one of those like, what's your mother's maiden name? Why can't you remember who was your
Poor
first
guy.
dog? Yeah.
Keep us posted. Maybe he figures it out. You
I
know?
don't think so.
No,
You
neither
might as well
do I.
throw it in the trash and move on because it doesn't seem like he's going to get that.
So,
hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our.
all right. So, word to the wise, right? Like, can you imagine losing for $260 million? I mean, there's nothing he can do but just be like, I mean, if you read these stories now, he's just like, I've made peace with it, but it's like, what else can you do? Right. So this is the risk of owning the shares directly. You don't have this issue if you own a Bitcoin ETF. Right. So, I mean, we could all say like, wow, that would never happen to me, but I'm pretty sure he didn't think that would ever happen to him. Right. And so, yeah, that's a lot of money to like not let go of. And even though the reporter said, he's made other money with Bitcoin, like he probably has made other money with Bitcoin, but I doubt that he has 260 million. And even if he did have 260 million, like it would be nice to have an additional 260 million, right? So I actually prefer to do the Bitcoin ETFs, although I do have some Bitcoin individual, but most of my crypto or Bitcoin shares are in ETFs. The other really good play that you can do with Bitcoin ETFs is that when your Bitcoin ETF, if you buy the Bitcoin ETF in your Roth IRA. Now, y'all know I keep talking about the Roth IRAs, right? They're 100% tax-free if you pull them out at age 59 and a half or later, right? So if you buy crypto within your Roth IRA, okay, and you make it to 59 and a half and you pull it out, after age 59 and a half, let's say it's selling at $100,000 right now, right? And that chart that we looked at said that it was going to go up to like 3 million, right? In like 10 years. Think about this. All those gains, that 100,000, so 100,000 to 900 to a million would be 900,000. So you've got like almost $3 million worth of gains, almost, right? Or maybe $2.5 million worth of gains. That's completely tax-free. All you got to do is wait till 59 and a half, right? So you don't have that same benefit if you don't put in a Roth, right? So that's my play. And I do that. I put my crypto ETFs in my Roth so that when it blows up and I turn 59 and a half and I pull that out, all of that is going to be completely tax-free. Because as you can imagine, if you're pulling out $2-3 million that you earned in crypto, the tax bracket on that is going to be exorbitant if you just leave it in a regular account. But if you pull it out and it's in a Roth, it's all tax-free. But they don't tell y'all this kind of stuff, right? They don't tell y'all that. That's why you watch the Get Money show, because they tell you how to get money, how to keep your money, right? Lady T says, no way, I will be more than sick. I know, right? Tracy says, I'd be sick. Sydney says, I cannot comprehend that level of loss. Insane. Absolutely insane. And here's the other thing, you guys. That video is from 2021. That video is from 2021. And in 2021, it was worth $260 million. And I actually did the math. Let me look it up, because I don't want to get the number wrong. If he had left it in there, well, actually, it's still worth it because it's still out. He just can't get to it. Right now, with it trading at, well, as of this morning, it was trading at $99,980. It's over $100,000 now, right? But this morning, it was $99,980 for one Bitcoin. When this video was made, was in January of 2021, and crypto or Bitcoin at that time was trading at $32,000, and it was worth $260 million, which is what he had. As of today, what he lost is actually worth $807 million. So $260 million 3 years ago, $807 million today. So he is not only out of $260 million, he's out of $807 million. He's out of basically $1 billion because he forgot his password. Yeah. Yeah. So I know, Sandra, ain't that crazy? And then just imagine when it goes up to what it's predicting it's going to go up to, like 3 million. Like, bruh, that's an L for, you don't need to take no more L's in your life. Like, that's it. Like, if that was me, I'd be like, you know what, I'm done. Like, I'm not taking any more losses. This is it for me. So everything else has to be up from here. Like, I can't even imagine losing that. Sydney says, my Lord, just take me to the pearly white gates and leave me there. I'm saying, right? So again, that's the risk of, this is why I think it was, I don't know, somebody earlier was asking, I think it was Jock's Journey, was asking about how do you keep your cold wallet storage safe and secure, right? Because things like that can happen. And he's just the story that got told, right? That story went viral. But I think in the video, they talked about there's billions of dollars that are out there like lost because people cannot find their passwords, or they forgot it, or even forgot that they had a crypto account because they signed up so many years ago. They forgot about it. There's billions of dollars that are lost. So if you're in an ETF, you don't have to worry about that quite so much. Now, your gains aren't going to be as much as it would be if you bought individually. So again, as we've discussed with individual stocks before, if you buy Palantir, you know, you may be getting 580% returns. If you bought an ETF that Palantir is in, you might be getting 60% returns. It's still a lot. 60% returns is incredible, but it's not 580, right? But it's still a lot. It also mitigates the risk because if Palantir were to go down, all those other stocks might go up, and that would help to balance out the risk, right? So it's kind of like the same thing with the Bitcoin ETF. Although in the Bitcoin ETF, the only thing that's in there is Bitcoin, right? But the companies, they manage it for you. And they, you know, the cost is obviously a lot lower. There is an expense ratio associated with it. So there's still risk involved, but it's a lot less risk. And you don't own anything. So think about ETFs in this case, when it comes to Bitcoin, kind of like you would think about real estate, right? So if you were to buy an actual home or commercial property, you will own that property. You would have the keys to it. You could manage it. You could go and fix stuff. You could take things out of it. You could put things in it. You could put tenants in it. You could do whatever you wanted to. You could manage that house because it's yours. It's your asset, right? So think about buying Bitcoin direct like that. Conversely, if you were to buy a REIT, which we've discussed, which is a real estate investment trust, you do not own any asset. You just own the REIT, right? So you don't have to worry about tenants and termites and that sort of thing, but you also don't have the keys to the building. You don't have, you can't, put tenants in it or kick your tenants out, right? You don't own that, but you own the ability to make money off of the real estate investment. So think about the ETF kind of like that. So the ETF is, you don't actually own the Bitcoin. There's no cold wallet storage for you to worry about. There's no password for you to have to be concerned about. There's no chance of you losing $260 million or $807 million because it's in ETF, right? There's no password. So there's the pros and cons of it. If you want to own it directly, then you go and buy Bitcoin directly. If you want to own if you just want to make the money off of it and you don't want the headaches and all that sort of stuff, then you own the ETF. But again, just keep in mind, you will probably make more money selling that house than you would in the REIT, but you're still going to make money in the REIT. It's just not going to be as much. Does that make sense? That's kind of how you need to think about it. Pamela says, I was just about to ask that question. How many companies are in a Bitcoin ETF? You had answered it as only Bitcoin being managed by a company like Fidelity. Exactly. So that's the difference in the ETFs when it comes to regular traditional ETFs that we think of, that we've been discussing on this channel, and then versus the Bitcoin ETF. By the way, if you haven't liked this channel yet and you are new here, or if you've been here and you've never liked it, press the like button for me. Press the subscribe button for me. And if you haven't liked this video yet, please press the like button and help get us up to 100 likes at least while I'm live. Okay. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. You're welcome, Sydney. Sydney says, thank you for breaking that down. Yeah, that's really how you need to think about it. Think about it in terms of real estate, like REITs and real estate, ETFs and Bitcoin ETFs and Bitcoin. Okay. Now, like I said, there's a lot of different Bitcoin ETFs, and I think I shared the link. If I didn't, I'll share it again. But I want you all to spend some time, if you're interested in this. I'm going to drop the link for the price prediction, and I'm going to drop the link in here for the Bitcoin ETFs. Thanks, Sydney. Sydney says she's a new subby. Y'all give it up for Sydney in the comments. Give her a hand clap. Appreciate you being here, Sydney. So that's the link that I just dropped, is the link to the price prediction. So you can see for yourself where that chart is going to be going. Okay. And then the other link I'm dropping is the link to a number of the more popular Bitcoin ETFs. Again, you can simply look into your current brokerage accounts to find this. You could go to River or Coinbase if you want to, but just like Jock's Journey, I really don't have an interest in having even more accounts I got to worry about. I'd rather just have one account with most of my stuff, and it's in there. Net Checks is a new subby too. Hey. Give her a hand clap in the comments, y'all. Appreciate you being here. Yes, we have to all be in the know. We got to know this stuff, right? Got to know this stuff. All right. So Lisa, are you new too? Oh no, Lisa, you've been here. Lisa giving you a hand clap. Okay. Yay. Appreciate you guys. I love it. So we're not going to go quite into all of the expense ratios today, because I just shared the link and you guys can at your leisure kind of go through them. But I will say, if you like Fidelity, you may want to consider looking at the Fidelity one, which is FBTC, is the third one on that list. The reason I like this one is that it's not too expensive. I think it's like right now $80 some a share, but I really like Fidelity as a company, and I really like how they manage their stocks and their all their stuff, right? And you guys know I've talked about Fidelity before. I don't get paid from Fidelity or nothing, but I just really enjoy their customer service. I like their interface. I think they're easy to use. I like that you can get everything on Fidelity. You can get Bitcoin, you can get all the cryptos, you can get the OTC market, which we talked about before, which is when I was talking about Spirit Airlines last week. You can get ETFs, you can get regular stocks, right? I mean, and you can even open up a custodial account. Unfortunately, on Robinhood and places like that, you can't open up a custodial account for your children. You can only do that on places like Robinhood. I mean, on places like Fidelity. I think you might be able to do it on Charles Schwab, but I know for sure you can do it on Fidelity because I have one for my son. So if I wanted my child who is under 18 to be able to invest in these sorts of things and have his own account, I can make that happen on Fidelity. So the is FBTC is the ticker symbol. Okay. And the expense ratio is pretty low on it as well. And I can share my screen to show you guys this. If you like. Andrea is new as well. Y'all give it up for Andrea. That's the wrong thing. There we go. Give it up for Andrea. We love it here. We love you. 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 We love you guys being here and learning all these things and getting to the bag. Jack's Journey says, I chose FBTC and put it in my Roth. Girl, you so smart. You so smart. I'm telling y'all, that play with putting the crypto into your Roth, y'all. And again, I have to drill this into you all. Okay. I really want you all to remember, you don't always have to go find new money. That is something that locks people up all the time, right? They lock it. They're like, oh, I don't have an extra money. I don't have any extra money, so I'm just not going to invest anything. No. You do have the money. You just don't know where it's at, right? If you have a job and you have a 401k, or if you've been investing in a Roth IRA, or if you've been contributing to your HSA, these are all options for you to be investing this money. You don't have to go get another job. You don't have to go, become a part-time seller on Facebook Marketplace or go start Ubering or whatever, unless you just want to, right? All those are fine, but you don't have to do that just to find money to invest. You have money to invest, right? Now, it may not be $100,000 to buy one Bitcoin, but I can guarantee you have money to invest. If you took the Fix My Money Challenge, which I'll put the link in the comments below, but if you took the Fix My Money Challenge, let me know if you found extra money that you didn't know that you were spending. Did you find extra money did you find money that you didn't realize that you were spending? Because I'm 100% positive every single person did. Every single person did. So Roxy says, I was charged a commission fee for the OTC purchase of Schwab. I purchased Spirit on Schwab. Does Fidelity charge a fee for OTC? I don't know if they do. I don't think that they do. And I purchased Schwab. I purchased Spirit on Schwab as well, because that's where my HSA is so Roxy, and I didn't pay a fee. So you may want to call them. You may want to call them and find out what that fee is about. But I purchased it on Schwab and I purchased it in Fidelity, and I didn't pay a fee in either one. So you shouldn't be paying any fees. I don't know why they charged you a fee. But if you took the Fix My Money Challenge, did you find money that you didn't realize that you were spending? Because most people are like, well, I don't have an extra $100. I don't have an extra whatever. I'm not a fan of necessarily going to find extra money. I'm a fan of looking at what you have, realizing that, oh, I'm actually spending more money eating out than I realized that I did. I could probably cut that in half. Or I'm actually spending more money on clothes every month that I don't even really wear all like that. I could probably cut that in half, right? Or I have money sitting, doing nothing, not making any babies for me. We talked about how we need every single dollar that we have to go out and make babies like Nick Cannon, right? I told y'all last week I was going to change the name of my account to Nick Cannon, which I did. I renamed it in the account. I renamed it Nick Cannon, right? Nick Cannon money. I want my money to go out and be fruitful and multiply and have no apologies about it, right? Go out, make all the babies in the world for me, right? And so that is what your money needs to do. So if you have your money sitting in your 401k, your traditional IRA, your HSA, all that sort of stuff, and it's not invested in anything, you have the money to invest in Bitcoin or Palantir or whatever we've been talking about. Any of these things that we talked about. Okay. Bernadine says she purchased 105 shares of Spirit on Robinhood. Good for you, Bernadine. Good for you. Good for you. Sharon says she took the Fix My Money Challenge and she said that she found extra money, but now that extra money is being invested every week. See? That's the same. That's not new money that she had to go out and earn. That's money she already had that she was spending elsewhere, but now she can pay herself with it. Right? So I love that. Raquel is a newbie. Hey, newbie, did you subscribe? Maybe you hit the subscribe button if you didn't already. She's making some changes to her Fidelity, her Schwab, and her current 401k. Thank you. My birthday month. This is my birthday month, and this is the best gift ever. Well, happy birthday, Raquel. And happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Is always a great birthday present to get to the bag, right? Always good to get to the bag. But yeah, y'all make sure that your money is Nick Cannon dollars, okay? He is unapologetic about making all these babies. He's taking the Christmas pictures with all different families. He out here just spreading sperm everywhere, okay? So that's what we want our money to do. We want it to spread everywhere and come back with a bunch of kids. That's what we want, okay? Link to the Fix My Money Challenge is in the comments. Andrea says, Robinhood is the family account, joint account is available in gold. Okay. Awesome. Yes, our money does need to be redirected, T. So what T said, our money needs to be redirected. Okay. So again, I dropped the link for the Bitcoin ETFs, and I dropped the link for the price prediction as well. Now I want to answer the question about the cold wallet storage. So Jock's Journey, are you still here? And if so, let me know what your question is. I'm going to try to scroll up and see if I can find it. Also, Jay Nail says, since Trump is going heavy with crypto, how would you know which to invest in? Would it be similar to picking stocks? So Jay Nail, so Trump is going heavy with crypto, right? And if we look and see what we can actually, because he's a public figure, we can actually look and see what Trump is invested in himself. And so I'm going to assume that because he's invested in Bitcoin directly, he's going to do his best to ensure that his best interest is taken care of, right? So in addition to, you know, his constituents and his, you know, friends and all that sort of stuff, he gonna make sure his people good. So you can look at any political figure, honestly. You can look at any public figure that's in politics, and you can see what they are invested in. You can see what Trump is invested in. You can see what Nancy Pelosi is invested in. She's a very popular one that people tend to look at. You can look at any of these people, or RFK, any of those people, right? And so he's very invested in Bitcoin, BTC specifically. And so I'm pretty sure he's going to do that. But yes, it's pretty similar to picking stocks. I mean, you obviously want to look at the returns, but almost all crypto is doing pretty well. Like XRP, Dogecoin, those are significantly less expensive than Bitcoin. But Bitcoin is the one that has like the extreme predictions of going up to like $3 million per coin. So if it were me, I would invest in Bitcoin for sure. Even if I had to buy a fraction of a share, I keep saying share, a fraction of the coin. Even if I had to buy 0.0002, I would buy some Bitcoin directly. I will also buy some Bitcoin ETFs. I'll probably buy more Bitcoin ETFs because I could afford to buy more Bitcoin ETFs. But then I will also look at some other cryptos because I could just buy more. Like I think and I know I said we weren't going to talk too much about other cryptos right now, but since you asked this question, it kind of lends itself to it. And also Pamela asked it as well. XRP and Dogecoin. I think Dogecoin's like 43 cents or something like that. It was around that a couple of days ago. You could consider those as well. So you could really double down on those other cheaper cryptos. But I would absolutely make sure that I get Bitcoin. Even if I had to buy a little bit, I would still get some. Like, think about this when it comes to buying a little bit, and I'm using little in air quotes, right? Like, if you bought a little bit of Apple in the 80s when it first went on the stock market, today, but fast forward to today, would you be like, oh, it really wasn't that much? If you had just bought like $150 worth of Apple in the 80s, pretty sure you would be very happy with that little bit of an investment, right? So I just don't want anybody to just be like, well, it's not a lot. But I guarantee you there was people who could only have paid $50 or, you know, a very small amount, what they consider to be a small amount of money back then that didn't invest, who are kicking themselves in the shins right now. Right? So do not sneeze at small beginnings. Do not like overlook small starts, because starting, it's like the tortoise and the hare, right? A little bit can obviously grow to be a whole lot. NetCheck says Trump has $5 million in Ethereum and he's creating the FBTC. So yeah, like I said, you can look and see what he has his own money in. So he's got money in Ethereum. Now Trump got a lot of money. So $5 million for him is probably not a whole lot. It's probably not a lot of money for him, right? But he still got his money in there. It's a significant amount of money, right? So if he's investing in that, he's probably gonna try and make sure that's gonna do well, right? Tracy says, how do you put it in your Roth? You buy it first, and then what do you do? So you buy it just like you would a regular stock. You have to make sure you have a Roth IRA open, first of all. So if you don't have a Roth IRA, you got to open a Roth IRA brokerage account, and then you buy it just like you would a stock. Tracy, did you buy stock recently? I feel like you bought some shares of something recently. So the same way that you bought that is the same way that you would buy this. And then it's it's in your Roth because you're buying it in the Roth account, right? Okay. So she said, I will open a Roth through Robinhood, and then I guess I can do it then. Yes, you can do that. My Roth is with Fidelity. I like all my retirement stuff to be with Fidelity. It's just the thing. I like Fidelity a lot. My individual, like, I'm not gonna call it play money because it ain't play money, but money that's not allocated to retirement, I'll call it that, right? Just like my everyday investments are in Robinhood, but my retirement is all in my IRA, my Roth IRA, 401k, all that's in Fidelity. But yeah, you can definitely open it in Robinhood. That's not a problem. Okay. Okay. So Jock said, I am a little confused about how to keep the Bitcoin safe. Do you buy a cold wallet storage or use the cold wallet on Robinhood? Also, do you move when you get a large sum? Oh, okay. Do you move it when you get a large sum or do you move it all the time? Okay. Great. So y'all, a cold wallet, they call it a cold wallet storage. I mean, I don't really know why it's called that. I feel like that's a very extra name. Like they could just call it it's really just a jump drive. It's like a super secure jump drive, basically. But they call it a cold wallet storage, and it just sounds very weird and intimidating for some reason. But I mean, it's not necessarily cold. I don't know why they call it that. If somebody knows why they call it cold wallet storage, let me know, because I don't know why they call it that. But either way, it's a extremely secure, military grade secure jump drive, basically. And so that's where you can basically keep your physical Bitcoin. Now, keep in mind, if you have an ETF, this is not of concern to you because you don't own the asset. This is because Bitcoin is not an actual coin. I know we see the images and the pictures, and it's like a pretty gold coin with the B in the middle. Like that doesn't exist in real life. Like you can't hold an actual Bitcoin, right? Instead, it's a digital currency, and it is stored on what's called a cold wallet storage. Okay. And so to answer your question, to keep it safe, for me, because like I said, I have a bit of direct Bitcoin, but most of my Bitcoin is in ETFs, right? So most of it I'm not really concerned about because it's an ETF and my brokerage takes care of that. The stuff that I have individually, like the Bitcoin that I own, like I own the asset to it, is on the jump drive, right? And so I personally have a physical jump drive. So yes, I bought a cold wallet. I did not use the one on Robinhood. I did not do what's called a paper one, which is online. I have a physical cold wallet storage unit, and it is in my fireproof safe in my house. So if anything were to occur, my house were to catch on fire, burglars were to break in, whatever, it's safe in the fireproof safe that's in my home. Now, some people might put it into a safe deposit box at their bank. I also have it in my trust. So upon my demise, if I were to die, I have allocated to whom it should go to, and all of the passwords and everything is in the trust, which is also physically in the fireproof safe in my house. And I also have a digital version of that. So that's how I keep mine safe. And if I were to ever forget the password, I have it in my trust, which is in my documents, right? I also have a digital version of it in case something happened to the papers. And it's also at my attorney's office. So even if my attorney were to die or not work there anymore, I mean, it's his firm, but if he were to not be around anymore, the firm still has it as well, right? So I have it in a number of places. You could even put it in, like I said, you could open up a safe deposit box with your bank and you put it there. There's several ways that you could kind of ensure that you never forget the password. I would not suggest just putting it on a piece of paper like that guy did that we looked at and hoping that you don't lose the paper. Like, no. Keep it somewhere digital. Make sure that other people are going to have access to it. People that you trust, obviously. And that's how I keep mine safe. In terms of how do you move when you get a large sum, or do you move it all the time? So I tend to move mine like regularly because I don't want it sitting there. I want it like it's mine, it's my asset, so I want to have it. So I would say I probably move mine probably about 4 times a year, which I think is pretty often. Some people might do it every month, but I do mine, about every quarter when I go in. And every quarter for me, I'm usually like recalibrating and readjusting my budget. And I just do like a really deep money dive on my own personal finances about 4 times a year. So once a quarter. And that's part of that deep dive for me. So that's that's how often I move mine over. Excuse me. Tracy says I might do the same. So Jock, I hope that answered your question. Let me know if that answered your questions about the storage and how often you should move. There's no right or wrong amount of time that you should move your Bitcoin over. It's really personal preference. I do mine 4 times a year. Some people don't do theirs. They do theirs once every couple years. Some people never move it over, but for me, it's about 4 times a year. So Roxy says, I have Bitcoin that showed up in my Cash app. Can I transfer that to my brokerage account? Did someone pay you in Bitcoin, or did you invest in Bitcoin with the money you already had in your brokerage account? Did someone pay you in Bitcoin? Is my first question. Or did you have money, US dollars in there, and then you bought Bitcoin on the Cash App marketplace? Let me know, because that will inform the answer I give you. You're welcome, Jack. Okay, I'm glad that helped. I'm so glad that helped. Tracy says, which one is better out of XRP and Dogecoin? Y'all, didn't I tell y'all we weren't going to talk about all the other cryptos? I know y'all want to know. There's not one that's better or worse, right? Like, you know what? Let's do a live audit. Okay, let's check it out, and let's see which one is better. Let me share my screen. All right. So, no, I want to look at Robinhood. Hold on. This is good. I'm glad you asked this question, Tracy, because this is going to be good for anyone else who's wondering the same thing and wondering how they can tell. Hey, AK, how are you? I'm glad that you're here today. By the way, you guys, if you have not liked this video, press the like button. There have been over 100 people in here since I've been live. So I want you to press the like button for me. Get this video up past 100 likes for me, you guys. I appreciate you all. And if you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. I come in here every single week, dropping gems like this on you so you can make it to 7 figures and beyond and get to the bag, okay? All right, so let's look at Dogecoin. So Dogecoin is currently selling at 41 cents, okay? And this is going to be what I'm going to call an audit, okay? So we're basically going to look at this, and we're going to look and see what the history has been over the past, say 5 years, okay? So it looks like Dogecoin came onto the market. When did it come onto the market? I don't know. It's just showing me past 5 years. Okay. So 5 years ago, you could buy Dogecoin for, geez, what is that amount? Like nothing? Like less than a cent. You could buy Dogecoin for. Let's see. It went up all the way to here. This was 37 cents or 57 cents. That was in 2021. Then it went down some, all the way down to 7 cents, 6 cents. And now we're back up to, we had a huge surge. Something happened November 1st that took it from 14 cents up to 44 cents. And now we're settling around 41 cents, right? So that's what we're looking at now. If we look at, that's the past 5 years. So all of this is between 2021 and 2023. We started to see it climb back up in the beginning of 2024, right? So we had kind of a lull for 3 years or 2 years, right? Okay, let's take a look at XRP. XRP, let's do the last 5 years. All right, so 5 years ago, you could buy for 21 cents. It went kind of steady. It went up to $1.03. Then it went down and up, down. So this is 2022 through 2024. And then again, something happened November 1st. I don't know what happened November 1st. We're going to have to look at the news. Something happened between all this crypto. November 1st, it shot from 50 cents all the way up to $2.60. And now we're settling down at $2.30. It looks like somewhere around there, right? So as we're looking at this, to answer your question, Tracy, you know what? I always forget to switch this so you all can see me. Okay. So as we're looking at this, your question was which one is better, right? And if we really compare the two, if you remember, Dogecoin had like a lull for a couple of years and then it shot up and it's like, slightly down from its high, but not dramatically. Same thing with XRP here. So that's why I was saying earlier, I can't really say which one is better. They're both pretty inexpensive. I mean, XRP is more expensive right now than Dogecoin is 41 cents. So if you want to, mitigate your risk, Dogecoin may be the way to go because it's just cheaper, right? So if you, put in, I don't know, $100, you would get a lot more shares than you would if you invested in XRP. But something big happened on November 1st in crypto, and I would need to do some research to find out what it was. I would invest in it, period, because I really feel like crypto is a buy and hold. And I think the same thing that Luxshell said earlier today, that she's been buying and holding crypto, specifically Bitcoin. I would invest in all of them. And actually, I am invested in Dogecoin and XRP and Ethereum as well. We can even look up Ethereum. But Bitcoin is like I said, the super popular one, the one that has like the greatest gains right now. We can look at Ethereum. Ethereum is more expensive. And it didn't seem to have that big upshoot on November 1st that the other two did. But something did happen because here's November 1st, and it still had an increase, just not as much as the other two, right? And it went up again, and then it kind of went down a little bit. So, Tracy, as far as I'm concerned, I would invest in all of them. I would put probably less money because it's just more expensive in Ethereum and Bitcoin, but I would definitely get some. But you can really ride it out with Dogecoin and XRP. And so if we think about crypto and we know, right, if we remember, I always tell you guys, when you're looking at investments, it's really important to not just look at the history, which is important, but it's also very important to look at what's coming up, what's in the news, what are some of like the superpowers or the like big political people, what are they investing in, right? If the rich people are investing in it, it's possibly a very good chance that it's going to do well. Not always, it's not a tried and true blanket statement, but it's a good chance because they tend to have insider information that the rest of us don't, right? And so if we look at the history, like I said, something happened on November 1st with crypto. I don't know what it was because I don't know what it was, but something happened because all three of those cryptocurrencies all had an uptick on that particular day. So I'm trying to see if I can find out what it was real quick. It just says November was a monumental month for crypto. Crypto spot trading volume exploded 141% November 1st. Yeah, I don't know what made all of that go up, but obviously something happened, right? And so we look at that and then we look at the news. And like I said, when we first got on here, Trump is doubling down on crypto, not just for himself, but for the whole country, right? He wants the US to be a superpower when it comes to crypto. He's creating the Bitcoin, the crypto advisory board, right? The presidential crypto advisory board. There is a crypto bill that you can look up right now. It's the let's look it up. It's the Bitcoin bill of 2024, something like that. That's the name of it. You can look at it's right on the congress.gov. Here we go. Bitcoin Act of 2024. That's what it's called. So this is congress.gov. and it's on the Bitcoin Act of 2024. Right? I don't know if you all can see that because it might be small type on your screens, depending on what type of screen you're looking at. But like the government is involved with this, right? So if we know all these things, and we know generally crypto has gone up, I'm going to say it's probably a good long-term bet. Now, crypto is extremely volatile, right? So this might be a buy and hold, but it also might be a buy, get out when it's really, really high, keep a little bit in there to invest some more. But I would definitely take my gains from it. I wouldn't leave all my money in there because it's going to go down for sure, but it's also going to go up. So I would take my gains out and I would leave maybe my principal in there to continue to earn more money. But yeah. Tracy, why you got a sad face? He said, okay, with a sad face. What you sad about? Let me know what you sad about. Do you use a titanium plate for your passwords? No, maybe I should, Jack. I don't have a titanium plate for my passwords. They're just written down. Yep, I don't have all that security. I just have it written down somewhere. But again, it's in my trust. It's in my fireproof safe, all that sort of stuff. Okay. Andrea says she bought Solana at $16 and now it's $200. When did you buy it, Andrea? How long ago? Thank you, Dr. Nicole. She said, yes, please like, share, and subscribe and set your bell to notifications to all. Yes, get all the notifications for this channel. Thank you so much, Dr. Nicole. I appreciate you for putting that in the comments. Jock says, can you explain the Google Authenticator process? So there's an app called Google Authenticator. Yeah, I agree, Jock. She said, I don't want to have all that. It makes it complicated. Yeah, I don't do all that. I like things to be simple as possible, right? But as far as the Google Authenticator, it's just an app. It's an app that's on your phone. I have it on my phone. And a lot of websites and companies use the Google Authenticator. So you basically download the app. It will then ask you to connect the app to whatever like website that's asking for authentication. You'll probably scan a QR code, follow the prompts, and then that website's connection will now be on your Google Authenticator. And that's how it works. And then anytime you log in, it'll say, what's your authentication code? And then you just go to the app, look for that particular one, and it'll ask you. It'll give you a new code, and the code changes like every minute, like every 60 seconds is a new code. So it's very secure because it's hard for hackers to get into it because the code's always changing every 60 seconds. So, by the time that they get access to one code, it's a new code that's popped up for you. NetCheck says Elon Musk will be heading up the Doge department. Definitely buy and hold Doge. Yeah. Isn't Elon Musk, maybe, am I wrong? Did he create Dogecoin? I feel like he's like knee deep in Dogecoin beyond just heading up the department. I feel like he's like got his hands really dirty in Dogecoin somehow beyond that. But yes, again, if all these super rich people are investing in certain things, like you got to remember that success leaves clues, right? We don't always have to reinvent everything, right? So like if we notice, like get your feelings out of it, right? Like remove your feelings about Trump, about Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, whoever it is. Like remove your feelings because the bag does not care about your feelings, right? Or your political views, right? Like I am not a Trump supporter. I will say that I'm not. But if he's going to help me and my family make more money, like I'm going to pay attention to what he's talking about and what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so I know like I've mentioned this to people and they're like, well, I don't care what Trump's doing because I don't like him. And I'm like, don't cut your nose off to spite your face, right? Like if this is available to you, like don't negate it just because you don't like somebody. That doesn't make any sense, right? So I think I answered all the questions. Tracy, you didn't tell me what you had the sad face for. Oh, okay. Thank you for looking that up, Caroline. Thank you. She said, JP Morgan says it was the election and Trump winning that made November increase. Okay. Probably because a lot of people who were invested in crypto knew that he was going to be, because he said this during his, when he was running, that he was going to be starting this presidential crypto council. He was going to be, trying to make sure that the U.S. was heavily invested in crypto and all that sort of stuff. So that makes sense. Thank you, Caroline. This is good. Good point. Dr. Nicole says, you always need to know what your opponent is doing. How can you know when to strike or know what to do if you're not paying attention? Excellent point. Excellent point. Excellent point. So bottom line is crypto, and I know we didn't talk too much about different types of crypto, but like I said, everything that we talked about is relevant to other types of crypto. So if you're looking at Solana, if you're looking at Dogecoin, if you're looking at XRP, if you're looking at any of these other things, everything that we talked about is relevant to that. Okay. So just because we talked about Bitcoin primarily doesn't mean that you shouldn't look at other cryptos. But again, because I know the vast majority of my audience is very new to investing and very, very, very new, probably not even invested yet for the most part in crypto. I didn't want to get too like in the weeds with it, but I'm glad that we were able to get to some questions about different types of crypto. Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Nicole. I be having to tell people all this time, do not miss the message because you hate the messenger. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't have a crystal ball and I'm not a psychic, right? But I do believe that 2025 through 2029, which is when Trump will be in office, I do believe that we're going to see some record gains in the stock market. I do believe that. And whether or not you hate the messenger of Trump or his administration or whatever, I don't want you to lose out on these 4 years that are coming up because you don't like what he be talking about. Because that's just ass backwards. Like, don't do that to yourself. Like, if you can have, like, we already seeing Palantir doing 584% returns. This crypto thing is like skyrocketing. All these other stocks that we've been talking about are doing crazy numbers, like leading up to the election. And I'm pretty sure past the election. And if you're like, well, I don't like Trump, so I'm not going to do nothing, then don't complain in 4 years when you're like, I don't have any generational wealth to pass on to my family because you didn't make a move because you didn't like somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's like, don't do that. I mentioned a couple, was it last week? Again, talking to the Black women here, right? I'm here for everybody, right? But I'm a Black woman, obviously. So I will talk to the Black women specifically about this point. We are the most highly educated demographic. This is not my feelings. These are statistics, right? We're the most highly educated demographic in the US, but we have the least amount of wealth. And that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't correlate, right? And so, like I said last week, a lot of times we are focused on the wrong things, right? And not just Black women, just people in general are focused on the wrong things. And if you have this opportunity right now, I don't want you to squash this opportunity. I don't want you to lose out on this moment that's coming because your candidate didn't win. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not speaking to anybody specifically because I don't know who y'all voted for, right? But whoever I am talking about, the message is there for them, right? Please don't lose out on making sure you're good because nobody cares about your money more than you because you don't like somebody. Like, take advantage of what they got to give, right? Take advantage of what they got to give. Dr. Nicole is on one in the comments. She said, I don't depend on the government. I depend on myself to make sure I'm good. Who takes care of you? I take care of me and my own economy. She said, when has the government ever been for the people, regardless of who's in office? That's the truth. That's the truth. The beautiful thing about the stock market is the stock market does not discriminate when it comes to color or gender or sexual preference. It doesn't. It doesn't care if you're gay. It doesn't care if you're lesbian. It doesn't care if you're Black, white, blue, green, orange. It doesn't matter if you're a woman, born a woman, if you're a man and you weren't born a man. It doesn't matter. The stock market doesn't care. And so if we're going to level the playing field, like I keep saying, the way to affect generational wealth, we always talk about, oh, we got to make, I see all these people, and I'm about to get on my soapbox, y'all. I see all these people on like Instagram and Facebook, and they're like, oh, just buy black. And therefore, you can build generational wealth. No, I'm not saying you shouldn't buy black. Sure, buy black. That's not going to affect generational wealth. Not generationally. No, it's not. It's not, because people are always going to, by and large, when times get hard, people are always going to buy what's cheapest. Always. Right? You're not going to be much cheaper than Walmart, and Walmart's not black owned. Right? So while you can still buy black owned and support black owned, and I hope that you do, don't be like, well, I'm just going to support black owned. I'm not going to invest. What? I'm sorry. Make it make sense. Right? Like, we will never get everybody to buy from their own race. This is not going to happen. All the white people are not only going to be buying white. All the black people are not only going to be buying black. All the Asians are not only going to buy Asians. Like, people are going to, like, money moves around, right? Like, you're going to buy wherever your budget allows, your budget and or your desire at the given time. If money is tight, you're going to buy wherever is cheapest. If you are, feeling like you got a little bit extra money, maybe you'll splurge, right? But whatever your budget and desires allow, it's what you're going to be buying. So telling people to buy black exclusively, one, is a waste of time, because people are not going to do that exclusively. You're not going to get the mass amount of people to do that exclusively. And secondly, it's just, it doesn't make sense. Not to cure generational wealth issues, not to cure generational gaps or wealth gaps. And when I say wealth gaps, I mean race wealth gaps. I mean gender wealth gaps. I mean, the have and have-nots. Like, that's not going to be cured simply by buying from your race. What will cure that is if everybody, instead of worrying about just buying from one race, which, again, don't get me wrong, I am saying you should support whomever you want to support, whatever color they are. It will be cured if everybody invested instead. But most people, like I said earlier, will say, oh, well, $10 is not a lot to invest, so I'm not going to invest at all. $15 is not a lot to invest, I'm not going to invest at all. $40, $100, $200 is not a lot, I'm not going to invest at all. And then complain and say, oh, I don't have enough money. But yet you got time and money to go buy whatever it is that you wanted. You got time and money to go to whatever concert. These concerts are crazy now. Like the Kendrick Lamar concert is like $1,500. You got $1,500 to go to Kendrick Lamar concert. I'm not saying don't go see Kendrick Lamar. I'm just saying don't say you don't have any money, because you do. You just prioritize something differently. You know what I'm saying? So that's how we're going to get rid of wealth gaps, is by investing, not by hoping on a wing and a prayer that everybody's going to go and buy exclusively black. You should, but that's not reality. Most people are not going to do that. What is reality is that everybody can invest. Every single person can invest. I mean, frankly, depending on where you live, you may not even have any black-owned businesses near you, right? You simply may not have it near you, so it may not be it may not be feasible for you to do that. You may not have the money to exclusively buy black. Who knows? And again, I don't want anybody to get me wrong. I'm not saying you shouldn't buy black. I am a black-owned business. Please buy from me, right? But I am not naive enough to assume that every black person is only going to buy from my company. That doesn't make sense. That's not going to happen. There's people who are going to buy shampoo from my company, which is Naturalicious, because they love black-owned businesses. There's people who are going to buy from me because they happen to love me. There's going to be people who are going to buy from me because they love what I provide. And there's going to be people who don't buy from me because they feel like my prices are too high. And that's okay. They're going to buy from Walmart, and that's okay. I'm not naive enough to think like, oh, well, I'm not going to invest because everybody's going to buy from me. No. And we can't do that. And I'm also certainly not going to let a political figure who doesn't pay a single bill of mine keep me from investing my money when I know the stock market doesn't discriminate against me in any kind of way. So off my soapbox now, right? I just want to impart on you, don't not invest. Please invest. It doesn't matter how much you have. It doesn't matter how little you have. You have some money to invest. If it's $5, you can do it. If you have $40, you can do it. And please don't let me hear none of y'all who are on here. The other people can do that, but none of y'all who are on here better not never say, well, I don't have enough money to put into anything, because you can buy fractional shares. If all you have is $1, you can buy a fractional share of something. You can buy fractional shares. Gone are the days when you had to have a stockbroker and you had to have a minimum investment amount. That's not the case. That's not the case anymore. The gatekeepers are gone. There's no reason why you can't invest. There's no reason. And I know somebody got $1. I know all y'all got at least $1. Y'all got internet because y'all watching this show, right? So everybody got $1. So you can invest something. Do not negate small beginnings. Do not negate small beginnings. Okay. And again, also, for those of you who feel like you're a little bit older, please don't feel like you're too old to invest. You are never too old. You are never too old. I think we've done the math on several of these lives. And if at any given point, you had invested, let's say in Palantir just 5 years ago, and let's say, well, I was already retired 5 years ago. Okay, but if you had invested 5 years ago with a 584% return, your age would not be a factor. It wouldn't be. So you are never too young to invest. You're never too old to invest. You are never too white, black, Asian, Indian, Hispanic to invest. You are never too much of a woman, too much of a man to invest. You can invest, period. I know that whenever I become a grandma, my son is too young to have kids right now, right? He's 13. But whenever that happens in the future, the day I find out that my daughter-in-law is pregnant, that baby is getting a brokerage account. The day I find out. And he better open up one for her too. One for her or him or whatever the baby gonna be. Right? You're never too young. It's better if you're young because you got all kinds of time. But even if you're older, it's okay. And I love this community because I feel like the majority of us tend to be like 35 plus. And it gets a little bit more real at that age, right? Like 40 plus, 35 plus, 50 plus. It's a little bit more real because you realize that, oh, snap. Like, I don't got a whole lot of time before I retire. I need to get my life together, right? So you have a little bit more urgency. When you're younger, you feel like you got all the time in the world. You can like, oh, retirement's 40 years away. 40 years, that's forever. And then you hit 40 and you're like, that really wasn't that long. That was 20 years ago, but it feels like it was 5. Or feel like it was 10, or I'm sorry, 5 months as opposed to 5 years. Right? So you have a little bit more urgency. And so I love that Tony said, I invest in Dogecoin and SHIB. Jack said all of her grandchildren have brokerage accounts. I love it. I love it. I love it. Beverly says she's here for the soapbox. Yeah, I get on my soapbox every now and then. Because I don't want us to lose. Like, how are we the most educated group, but have the least amount of wealth? We got all these student loans, like me included, right? Got all these student loans, got all the education, all the smarts, all the abilities, but we don't have the wealth. The wealth is not aligning with the education. That's not to say you shouldn't go to college, obviously, but we've got to do something different. We got to do something different. Cindy says, I love it here. No gatekeeping. I'm glad that you love it here. Yeah, I get on my soapbox every now and then, and I have to just, keep it honest because I feel like these conversations are not had and they need to be had. And I appreciate you all for allowing me to be able to express them. Dr. Nicole says, Gwen is no gatekeeper, and I love her for that. Oh, mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you. I love that. You all love it. Emerencia, hey, Emerencia, are you feeling better this week? I know last week you were a little down on yourself. And, we all came to your aid and hopefully it boosted your spirits a little bit. He said, I can't wait to talk to you. I sent you an email, but if I could have 3 minutes of your time, I'll be so grateful. I emailed you back and you responded, but I didn't get a response after that, unless you sent it today since I've been on this live. But I emailed you back. It was a few days ago. So just let me know what you want to do. I think I sent you a couple of options. Just let me know what you want to do. Okay. I'm excited and happy to talk with you. Oh, Tracy said she had the sad face because I said we weren't supposed to talk about XRP and Dogecoin. Oh, I was just messing with you. It was a joke. She says I have a happy face now. Yeah, no, I didn't want to dig too deep into the other cryptos because we already been on here a couple hours and we could be here for literally 4 or 5 hours talking about all the cryptos. And I wanted to make sure that we got, we touched on Bitcoin in a way that was palatable and actionable for everybody. I always want to make sure that whenever we leave these lives, that you all are equipped with actionable steps that you can take, not just like a lot of theory. Like I feel like a lot of finance channels, they talk a lot about theory, like, oh, this is what you should do, but they're not really tell you how to actually put it in place, and that sort of thing. So that was what I really wanted to make sure we got to, but we got to that. And so now we've been talking about other cryptos. Deidre says, I do not know about Bitcoins, but I do invest in gold. What are your thoughts on that? I think gold is cool. Gold is, it's pretty stable. I mean, the dollar, the US dollar is no longer on the gold standard. But I think gold is cool to have. It's not going to get you anywhere near the returns that you will get in the stock market, or with Bitcoin. But, I can think about it kind of like bonds. Like bonds are nice and safe to have. And if you are risk averse, meaning you don't really like to, have your money be kind of like you don't like to risk your money and potentially lose it at all. And you don't want to like worry about that. Gold and bonds are a good way to go. Just know that the returns are not going to be astronomical like you will see in the stock market or with Bitcoin. That's all. But I think gold is cool. I think if you're going to have a diversified portfolio, you should have some stocks, you should have some ETFs, possibly some crypto, if you want to, and maybe a couple stable things, especially as people get a little bit older, they want to have more stable investments like gold or bonds, which don't gain a whole lot, but they don't really lose either. So I think gold is fair. I think gold is cool. I think that, some of the things that we talk about is a lot of times it's based upon your risk tolerance. And so you don't really have to have a risk tolerance at all to be invested in gold or bonds. And so for people who don't like risk, gold and bonds are cool. But if you want a little bit of risk, I would still say invest in those things. But then you can also, tap in a little bit to maybe some ETFs, which are a lot less risky than individual stocks or Bitcoin. So hopefully that answers your question. Tracy says, I need the ticker for Dogecoin and the other one that begins with the E. So the ticker for Dogecoin, I think it's just DOG. I think it's just dog. No, it's DOGE. It's actually DOGE is the stock ticker for Dogecoin. And then I think the other one you're talking about is Ethereum. And I think it's ETH. Yeah, it's ETH. So DOGE and ETH for the two that you were asking for, Tracy. All right. Let's see here. Caroline says it's never too late. Oh, Devin. Devin says, oh man, I missed it. It's okay, Devin. We're about to end pretty soon and you can just check the replay. NetCheck says, yes, ma'am, the floodgates are open. No excuses. Love the content. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. And yes, there are zero excuses. Zero excuses. Anybody who's on here, if you got children, grandchildren, you need to be telling them hey, or even do it for them. Open them a brokerage account. And when I say children or grandchildren, that doesn't mean that they have to be under 18, right? They can be just someone in your lineage. Open them a brokerage account, put some money in there for them, get them started, right? Sometimes people just need a little bit of a push to get moving, But I honestly, just full transparency, I don't want my son to work as hard as I had to work. I really don't. And I definitely don't want his children to work as hard as I had to work or he will have to work. I want them to be able to benefit from, massive amounts of money that gives them the option to do what they want with their lives, right? How cool would it be to have your kid be able to choose, you obviously instill hard work and those sorts of principles into them, but how cool would it be for, if your kid was really, really into I don't know, pottery or something that, people feel doesn't make a lot of money, but they could just pursue pottery because their finances are taken care of, right? Because you and them invested when they were younger. That would be great, So yeah, I don't want, and I don't think anybody wants their kids to work hella hard if they don't have to, like work 4 or 5 jobs if they don't have to. Like, no. I want my kid and my grandchildren to have the same benefits that like a Jeff Bezos kid is gonna have. Why not? And the thing is, it's available to us. Now, we may not have $124 billion like him, but I mean, if your kid could be, I think we did the math a couple weeks ago. If your kid could, you start investing when they were like born, hypothetically, right? Or little. Well, actually, for me, I think I started investing for my son when he was like, when he was like a elementary school, right? So let's say 7, right? So 7 to age 40, we did the math. He'll have like $9 million. And that most of that is from compound interest, and very little of that is from actual money that we put in, right? And so, and that's just putting $100 a month from the age of 7 up until he turned 40. So I'm gonna do that up until he's 18 or 20, and then he'll do the rest. And provided we stay on track, he'll have about $9 million. At 40, I'm 42, right? Like when he's younger than me, he'll have $9 million. If my parents could have done that for me, what would my life look like right now? Right? So think about that when you're considering investing. You're welcome, Pamela. She says, always so helpful. You're welcome. Lynette says, agreed, you should have a mixed portfolio, 100%. And Marincia, she says, I'm feeling much better today and excited to know someone like you. Oh, that's so sweet. I want to get it together before the year goes out. All right, well, just respond to my email if you haven't already, and we'll get it together, okay? Fred says, good morning or good evening. What do you think about option trading? Is it hard to learn? So options are not hard to learn if you dedicate yourself to it. But mostly on this channel, we talk about buy and holds because they're way less risky, because you don't really lose your money in the stock market until you pull it out. Or you don't really gain either until you pull it out, right? Like I've said before, they're just numbers on a screen until you pull that money out. And I know some people say, well, you can't lose your money. Well, think about this. You don't actually get taxed. Let's say you had some money in the stock market today. And let's say you had $100,000 in the stock market. And let's say it fell to 70,000. So you had a $30,000 loss. That's on screen. That's on paper. And some people will be like, well, you lose money. But what I always say is that the stock market has always rebounded. It has always gone back up. I kid you not. I looked this up. You are statistically more likely to get into a car accident and die than you are to lose money over the long term in the stock market. But no one says, I'm not getting into my car and driving to work today. I'm not getting in my car and going to the store today. But we will say, I'm not going to invest because I'm scared of losing my money. But you are more likely to lose your money. You are more likely to die in a car accident, not just get in a car accident, but literally die in a car accident, than you are to lose your money over the long term in the stock market. I'm not making this up. You can look it up yourself, right? And so when it comes to yes, it may drop, but it will always rebound. It always has, right? And so you are actually not taxed on a loss or a gain with the stock market. This is why I say you can't really lose or gain money until you pull the money out, because when you pull it out, that's the real money. That's when you get taxed. As long as that money is sitting in the account, you're not taxed on that. So when I say it's not actual money, it's just numbers on the screen, that's the truth, right? So when it comes to options though, Fred, now you can for sure lose your money on options if you don't know what you're doing. So because options, especially if you're day trading, it's up and down real fast. You got to be on it. You got to be paying attention. So I would not say it's hard to learn, but it does take dedication and persistence and practice before you can really start being good at it enough to feel comfortable enough that you're not going to lose all your money. So most people don't have that kind of time. And most people don't want to dedicate that kind of time. Also, it's a lot of numbers. you know, for a lot of us, like we get confused by numbers, and numbers are confusing, and numbers are just like, you ever seen that meme where all the numbers are just moving around, the person looks really confused? It can feel like that with options. And so you have to pay attention to patterns. And you have to it's a lot of stuff you got to pay attention to with options. I think options are great. You can make $20,000 in an hour with options, right? But you really got to learn it. And it takes time and dedication. And unfortunately, I feel like the majority of people who teach it online, they aren't doing a very good job of really holding the hands of the people who are trying to learn it. They're just like, look at all these great gains that I got. Like, you know, follow me and look at all these, you know, and they're not doing an awesome job of really, again, holding the hands of the people step by step by step, teaching them how to look at patterns in the on the charts, teaching them how to read charts, all that sort of stuff. So if you're into options, Fred, I think you should stick with it. And I think you should do them as long as you're making money at it. But no, I don't think it's hard to learn. I just think that you have to actually dedicate yourself to it for sure. Okay. But thank you for being here. Jack says, this was absolutely what I needed. I have binge watched so many YouTube videos. This was one of the most informative. Yes. I'm so glad to hear it, Jack. I'm so glad to hear it. And Craig says, thank you for your REIT video. You are so welcome. You are so welcome. I'm glad that was helpful for you. Fred says, I don't have a clue. Oh, okay, Fred. Well, Fred, if you want to learn, there's a couple of people who I do recommend. One, his name is Marcel Benson. He's the owner of a company called Benson Watches. He teaches options, but he only teaches like one-on-one. And it's kind of like he doesn't teach to everybody. So he's good. You can hit him up at marcel@bensonwatch.com. Marcel@bensonwatch.com. Marcel. And then there's another guy named Jason Brown who has something called Power Trades University. And I think they both do a really good job. Those are probably the only two that I've seen that teach options that do it really well. There's another girl too. What's her name? I forgot her name. Kelly something. Kelly, let me see if I find her name. She doesn't like teach one-on-one or have classes, but she teaches them on her YouTube channel. It's like Kelly O something. Options. I can't find her right now, but it's Kelly something. And she's like Nigerian, I think, and she teaches options, but on her YouTube channel. These other people, they teach like one-on-one. So all right. I think we're good. I think we're good for today. You guys feeling good? Hopefully you guys are feeling positive and excited and interested in at least considering crypto, specifically Bitcoin. Like I said, don't hesitate too long because there's only 1 million Bitcoin left. And we were at 21 million, and that's going to be gone soon. So don't hesitate too long, think wrong, you know. But if you're like, I don't really want to do Bitcoin, there are other options such as Dogecoin and Ethereum and XRP and Solana and other things that we talked about. Okay. Maybe it's Kelly O'Lory. I really want to find her. I think it might be O'Lory. Kelly. No, that's not her name. I don't know the child's name. If I find it, I'll post it. Yes. Thank you, Etrice. That's her name, Kelly OG. I knew it was Kelly O something. Kelly OG. She teaches options as well, and I think she does a pretty good job. Just Faith says, you have done a fantastic job. I did not know you're going to spend so much time with us today. I, for one, appreciate you. Oh, thank you. I know I was going to spend so much time with y'all today either. But I get into it. Like I love to teach, right? I love to teach, and I love to make sure that people walk away with actionable items and not just theory. I think like it's kind of like when you go to a conference and like an empowerment conference, like, and you walk away like, yeah, I feel so empowered. Like, yeah, I can do anything. And then you get home, you're like, okay, well, how do I put this into practice? Like, what do I do now? Right? Like, I don't want that. I'm all for people feeling empowered. That's great. But like, can I get something tangible that I can actually go do today? Right? Speaking of that, I got a question for you guys before we go. I've been thinking, so a couple things. We have the Fix My Money Challenge, which we talked about, which starts January 20th. Is open right now for registration. Everybody can sign up for that. Those who haven't already done it. If you have done it, you want to do it again, you can sign up for it too. I'll drop the link for that. I also have My Rich Friends, which is my membership group for folks who really want to dive deeper into some of these topics and have a community that surrounds them of support when it comes to like really leveling up their money. I'm thinking about, and let me know if this would be beneficial to you. And I know a lot of times people say like, "Oh, this would be good," and then they don't sign up for it. But let me know if this would be beneficial to you. I've been thinking about for folks who are just kind of like dipping their toes in the water. I've been thinking about creating a like daily text service, if you will, that will give you actionable money hacks and tips each day, right? So it'll be delivered to your, it'll be through text. So you get it through your phone. You have to worry about checking through email. It'll be delivered to you every day. It'd be, it's a text. So it's like 160 characters, real short, but it's something you can do every single day with your money, for your money, to enhance your money and get better. And I was thinking about doing that. Do you think that would be helpful? Would that be beneficial to you? Or would you be like, I don't want to get texted every day about my money? Like, y'all can be honest with me. Let me know. Like, this is like an unofficial like focus group. Let me know if that would be helpful for you. Fred says, how do I sign up? I want to start with you in January. Okay, let me drop it in the chat. It's the fixmymoneychallenge.com. And I'm going to put the link here for you. Okay, and it'll be like a nominal. I mean, there has to be a cost, right? But it'd be nominal. Like $5 a month or something like really, really small. Let me know if you think that would be beneficial. Because I feel like if the thing about money is that like it's really got to be top of mind, right? Like if we don't make it top of mind, which is why the My Rich Friends is so beneficial, because we're in there talking all the time, but then we're also meeting in a group weekly to discuss things. And sometimes what we plan to discuss is what we discuss, but it kind of ventures into other topics as well, right? Just surrounding yourself with that. And the example I love to give is like accountability partners for like working out, right? So like I was telling the group last night, I have a group of 4 women, myself makes 5, right? That we're all in this text chain. None of them live where I live. They all live in different parts of the country. But every day at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., they're texting me. Somebody's texting me and they're like, hey, are you up to do the workout today? And if I didn't have that group, I would definitely slack off in silence, because nobody would know. Like nobody knows if I didn't do the workout today. Nobody knows if I didn't eat well today. Nobody knows if I didn't drink my water today, right? But because I'm in this group and I'm accountable to them, it kind of forces me to like actually get up and do what I'm supposed to do, right? I could do it on my own, but I have done it on my own, and I've definitely started slipping at times, right? But when I'm tapped into them, when I'm leaned into that group, I'm always on top of it, right? So it's kind of the same thing with like the rich friends, My Rich Friends. With this text service I was thinking about starting, I was just thinking like not everybody is possibly ready for My Rich Friends, or not sure if they want to go there yet. So they won't get that level of intimacy and all of that. But again, I always want people to walk away with something actionable and tangible that they can do to fix their situation or make their current situation even better. And so if you got a text each day that says, hey, I don't know, it could talk to you about like opening your high yield savings account, or where you should put your money, or what the best high yield savings account is right now, given that the interest rates have dropped, for example, right? That's something that's kind of timely. I feel like that would be really helpful. I would love that, but that's me, right? I don't know if y'all would like that. So that's why I'm asking. I see a lot of people saying that would be super helpful. That would be awesome. And like I said, it would be like a pretty inexpensive cost, like $5, $6 a month, like less than $1, less than 50 cents a day, it would be. I was thinking that could be helpful. So anyway, I'm thinking about creating that. And if that would be something that would actually help you, especially in 2025 and beyond, get from where you are to where you want to go, then I will work on creating that. So, but y'all let me know. I see a lot of people saying yes. Faith says maybe just a weekly text for her. Okay. Tony says absolutely. Jasmine says that would be helpful. Vicky says yes. Pamela says yes. Sydney says yes. Okay. Well, you guys keep dropping the yeses or nos. And again, you ain't gonna hurt my feelings. Like, because what I don't want to do is waste my time creating this thing, and y'all like this ain't helpful for me at all. Right? So don't worry about hurting Gwen's feelings. If you think that's whack, Gwen, I would never sign up for that. Then that's fine. You can say that. But if it is helpful, let me know that too, and then I'll work on getting it done. All right. Thank you guys for joining me. I think it's the longest time we've been on. It's been almost 2.5 hours, y'all. But I'm glad that this has been helpful for you. I love you all. I'm so appreciative of you. If you have not liked this video, click the like button. If you have not subscribed to this channel, click the subscribe button. And I will see you guys next week for the next Wednesday live session. And by the way, I always drop a pre-recorded video as well every week as well, but I'm always live on Wednesdays. All right. Y'all have a wonderful day. I will talk to you next week. See you later. Bye.